Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way. Today for your Watford summer transfer window review, of course, for the 2021-22 Premier League season. 22 arrivals and departures in total, according to transfermarkt.com, which is what I'm using today. So we'll go through the whole list, and then at the end of the video, I will give the transfer window a rating out of 10. Let me know your rating in the comments down below, and let me know why you've given it that rating out of 10 as well, because I'd be really interested to hear that. But firstly, before I do give you my rating, we'll go through the list of arrivals and departures at Watford, because as I said, 22 player transfers in total in the club and out of the club. So we'll go through the list now, quickly discuss a few of the bigger names in there. Of course, a few big players leaving the club this summer. I'll give my rating out of 10. So starting off, I'm just literally scrolling down the list now. It actually does say that Watford brought in £11 million worth of income, and in terms of expenditures, how much we spent to bring players in, we spent £16 million. So we actually lost, obviously, players can gain and lose value, etc. But we actually have a net loss of £5.36 million for the transfer window. Not spending a lot of money compared to some clubs. I think Norwich spent something in the region of £50 million. Manchester United obviously spent a lot of money. Arsenal obviously spending a lot of money. But you do have to consider it is our first season back up in the Premier League after being relegated to the Championship. Relegation is usually tough anyway, but couple that in with COVID, it's quite a hard time financially for Watford. So to see us still spend, nearly £12 million, I think that is quite good to see, and positive that we are still investing in the squad. So I'm looking at the list now. The top three players, especially. I'm really happy that we brought them in, and that is Imran Louza, Emmanuel Dennis, and Moussa Sissoko. So Imran Louza, for me, we've still not seen enough of him, I don't think, to really judge him in a Watford shirt. I think we'll have to wait until at least January to kind of see how it's faring, especially with the physicality of the Premier League. But Emmanuel Dennis, I made a video when he joined Watford as well. I wasn't over the moon that we actually brought him in. Actually, obviously, I'd read everything about his attitude, stuff at Club Brugge's previous club. But seeing him play for Watford now, I mean, he's one of our best players. He's up there alongside Sarr this season so far in terms of attacking output. There was a really good tweet actually on Twitter. I can't remember who posted it, but he was pretty much top of the charts for every everything in attack for Watford this season, and even above Ismaila Sarr for some statistics. So Emmanuel Dennis, really good buy, really fast as well, tricky to defend against, great dribbling ability as well. So hopefully he doesn't get injured, and we'll see a lot more of him. Moussa Sissoko was a surprising one. Happened towards the end of the transfer window, of course, moving to Watford from Spurs. Transfermarkt actually have it down here at a £3.15 million transfer, so that's an absolute bargain in my eyes. Reminds me actually of when Capoue moved to Watford from Tottenham as well. Capoue coming from Tottenham, not having a great career there, and then obviously at Watford, after his first couple of seasons here, Capoue was ultimately one of our best players, if not our best player, overall in the whole squad. So if Moussa Sissoko can kind of copy what Capoue did at Watford, I think that would be really good. And actually, I went to the Tottenham away game down in London, and he looks really good against Spurs there. And he'd only been with the squad 2 days, so he didn't have time to train really. Thrown straight in the deep end in the starting 11, and I thought he played quite well. More notable incomings, Ozan Tufan, not seeing a lot of him at all. He's not even done a club interview, I don't think. He's away on international duty with Turkey at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see what he can bring to the midfield. From what I've read, he's a bit more creative than maybe some of our midfielders at the moment. Maybe Sissoko and Louza could be sitting. Obviously, we've got a Tabo in there as well. But maybe Tufan can be that creative spark in midfield, doing what Capoue or Will Hughes did, picking out them long, 40, 50-yard balls to the wings, get Sarr and Dennis running at fullbacks. I think that's what we all want to see. Matty Pollock, an interesting one, coming from Grimsby. He's gone back out on loan, and that's probably where we are a little bit light actually. Looking at the whole transfer window as a whole, I think that we really needed to invest in a centre back. We did that with Matty Pollock coming for £270,000 from Grimsby, but he's not stayed with the squad. He's gone back out on loan, and I just think we are quite limited in that area. You have to think we've got William Schuster-Kong, Francisco Sirielta, Craig Cathcart and Christian Cabasele. William Schuster-Kong's out in AFCON in January, February time, and that leaves us with 3 centre-backs. And if a couple of them are injured, maybe Sissoko can play there. Maybe one of the fullbacks can drop in deep. But ultimately, you want 5, maybe even 6 centre-backs at the club. Obviously, it is only two positions, but I do feel that is our weak area this season. Look, Sirielta, Schuster-Kong, much better than previous partnerships we've had in the Premier League. I think Sirielta especially is only really just integrating back into the squad now. And I know he played against Tottenham, but that was pretty much his first game back. So I think that is our weak spot ultimately. And of course, Danny Rose again coming from Tottenham, as did Moussa Sissoko, but this time on a free transfer, getting released by Spurs, and Watford picking up Danny Rose. I think his wages are quite high, but I think you have to consider that he is a experienced Premier League player, played at Champions League level, international level, played in the Champions League final, didn't he? So Danny Rose, if he can perform 70-80% of his prime years at Spurs, I think Watford have got a fantastic player there. 30 years old, so not the youngest, but if we can get 2-3 years out of him, he's still got a lot to give, I think. So I think that bringing in Danny Rose, especially the way Messina started the season, I'd like to think that Danny Rose would potentially start for Watford after the international break. Another couple of attacking options that we brought in: Kwadwo Bar coming in from Rochdale on a free transfer, Ashley Fletcher coming in from Middlesbrough, again on a free transfer, and Joshua King, again coming in from Everton this time on a free transfer. Very, very interesting. Not, I wouldn't say, all 3 of them really are not nailed on starters for me. I think Kwadwo Bar will get some minutes in cup games potentially. Ashley Fletcher has impressed where he has played. But Josh King, I think if he gets into form, like we've seen at Bournemouth previously, I think Josh King could be a real asset to Watford, especially, coming in again on a free transfer, not costing us a transfer fee. I think he could be a real asset. My one problem with him is, it's been a long time since he played. So my one problem with Josh King is that, the seasons he had at Bournemouth, what I'm trying to say is the last few years that Josh King's had have not been very good, and he needs to refine that form, because actually looking at the ages we brought in here, Danny Rose 30, Moussa Sissoko 32, Josh King 29. Josh King really should be in the prime of his career as a striker at the moment. And for Bournemouth in the Championship, it didn't work out. He then got the move to Everton in the Premier League. I don't think he scored any goals whatsoever. Carlo Ancelotti choosing really not to use him. So if we can get the best out of Josh King at Watford, really you should be looking to have a front 3, something like this, where Josh King's down the middle, Cucho left, Sarr right, Dennis can come in centrally or out wide. And I think there's a lot of interchangeability there. Ashley Fletcher again can play either flank. Not his natural position, but he can do it. We saw that actually in the cup game against Crystal Palace. He can obviously play centre forward as well. So we do have a lot of options there, up front. And when you look at the departures as well, with Troy Deeney, Andre Gray leaving, there's a lot of attacking options that have left Watford. And we've brought in some new ones who quite frankly offer a different dynamic to what Gray and Troy did at Watford. So it'll be interesting to see how Josh King, Ashley Fletcher and Kwadwo Bar gets on. I'd probably expect to see Kwadwo Bar actually get a loan in January, because I can't see that he'll be getting much game time ahead of the likes of Cucho, King, Pedro still to come back as well. I forgot about Pedro. So there's a lot of talented forward players there. Couple more incomings to talk about. Peter Atebo, of course, coming in from Stoke on a loan with an option to buy. I think that's a great deal. Again, Peter Atebo, 25 years old, great age for me. Not hitting his prime yet, but is still young enough to learn and develop. And Juraj Kuka coming in from Parma in Italy. I mean, he's such a legend, isn't he, already? I mean, the amount of nutmegs I've seen him do in these first couple of games is absolutely fantastic. More of a short-term option. It says here he's 34 years old. He's not got a lot left probably to give in his career. But if he can give us, this season and maybe a further season on top of that, he's been, again, one of our standout players, especially in that first game against Aston Villa. I thought against Spurs as well, he was really, really good, really powerful, dominant, physical, which is what you want to see in the Premier League. So hopefully Kucha can have a great career at Watford. In terms of outgoings, Philip Zinkernagel went out to Nottingham Forest, Dalberg going out to Doncaster, Tom Delibashuri out to Reading, Matty Pollock out to Cheltenham in League One, and then Andre Gray going out to QPR on a loan deal. But of course, that will probably turn into a permanent deal if he does well, because his contract is up at the end of this season. I can't see Watford renewing Gray's contract, so he'll probably see the rest of that deal out. Why on loan at QPR? Leave Watford on a free transfer and join QPR on a permanent deal. But for me, with Andre Gray, the 18-19 season, that was his best season in the Watford shirt. Some really, really key goals, especially setting up Delafeu's third goal in the 3-0 goal, not 3-0, the 3-2 goal at Wembley. He obviously scored in the FA Cup quarter final at Vicarage Road as well. So he has offered us quite a lot in a Watford shirt. However, he's just not been, he's not lived up to his £18 million price tag, quite frankly. Last season in the Championship, I wanted to see more from him. Only scoring 5 goals, that's not really good enough for someone like him who has finished as Championship top goal scorer before. So I think with Andre Gray, disappointing to see him leave ultimately, just because it's not worked out at Watford. But again, wish him all the best. This is an interesting one actually. Domingos Quina going out on loan to Fulham, and yeah, I'm disappointed about that, because I think we do lack creativity in the midfield especially. And with Zinkernagel and Quina going out on loan, I just feel that they both could have offered us something different to maybe a Sissoko, a loser. I feel like we've lost quite a lot of creativity in that midfield area, especially with Chalobah leaving as well. So disappointed to see Quina leave on loan to Fulham. That looks like that could become a permanent deal too, which yeah, I'm really, really disappointed about. But again, I know Chalobah and Quina are really good friends, so to see them both go to Fulham, again, wish them all the best. Hopefully Quina can come back to Watford, but I do believe, as I said, he does have an option to turn that into a permanent deal at Fulham, of course, if he plays well and they want him. So I hope he does come back to Watford, but ultimately it's up to the player and the clubs to decide that. And yeah, just disappointed to see some creativity in the midfield go out on loan. And that's pretty much it. Cucho obviously coming back from Getafe to become a Watford player. Finally, after all these years, Cucho Hernandez comes back to Vicarage Road. I think he's been at Watford he's been in the books of Watford for 4 years. Obviously going out on various loans to Spain to try and earn his work permit. He finally is here. He looks like a great player. My brother calls him Quick Legs, because that's kind of the nickname we've gave him in my household. But yeah, really, really good player. Still only 22 years old. Looks absolutely fantastic. Again, just adding to more attacking options we have here at Watford. So yeah, no complaints about that at all. And that's pretty much it. Jerome Sinclair leaves the club. Mark Navarro's also left the club. I think they mutually terminated the contract. So yeah, it's been a busy summer at Watford. As I said, Nathaniel Chalobah again leaving on loan to Fulham. Will Hughes, of course, going over to Palace. That Palace deal with Will Hughes, I think that could rise to about £10 million with add-ons. And I believe Watford got around £5-6 million up front. So, not too bad, again, for a player in the last year of his contract. But for me, the disappointment is the fact that Troy Deeney has left Watford. He only had a year left in his contract. So for me personally, I was expecting him to see out that year at Watford. So yeah, again, very much a shame that Troy has left. But I do wish him all the best at Birmingham City. Obviously, his boyhood club. He's got a tattoo on his leg, of course, of the Birmingham badge. So wish Troy all the best at Birmingham. Now, for the big part of the video, I'm going to give my rating for the transfer window. And overall, I think the squad has definitely improved from the Championship. Now, we've had a few big names leave. As I said, Troy Deeney, Andre Gray, Will Hughes, Nathaniel Chalobah. Big names, big earners on the wage bill as well. You have to remember that. These players are earning, 60, 70, £80,000 a week. So to get them off the wage bill, bring through some more young attacking talent. I think that's really, really positive. And I'm actually going to give the transfer window rating a 7.5 out of 10. I think ultimately, as I said, we have ended up stronger than we did in the Championship. I think the actual squad overall as a whole, what it offers us is actually better than the last time we were in the Premier League, the 1920 season. I think the squad's actually a lot better than that in terms of what it can offer us. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Obviously, that could change depending on how the players that have come in perform over the course of the season. But I think for me, Sissoko, fantastic player. Danny Rose, fantastic player. And we've only spent £11 million in total. So for me, yeah, very, very happy. 7.5 out of 10. Let me know your rating of the transfer window in the comment section below. I'd be really, really interested to see how you rate it. And we'll have a Wolves preview coming later this week. Nearly forgot the game was there. Of course, it was Wolves at home. So Wolves at home preview will be coming later this week. I also need to get a video out talking about Troy Deeney to Birmingham. I think that will probably come Saturday, Sunday time, just to get my thoughts and opinions out on that move, because I think Troy does deserve his own video after all the years of service he has at Watford. So again, thank you very much for watching. Very warm here in the UK at the moment. We're going through another mini heat wave. So yeah, very, very warm in my bedroom. You can probably see I'm sweating. But yeah, again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in another stream or video very, very soon. Bye-bye.